And there's a part 2. I'm not going to read part 2. I'm reading part 2. Hopefully audio's better this time. We're reading part 2 of I Sold My Soul for a Used Dishwasher. And I'd like it back. I'm going to have a fun time, you know. Alright, let's just start. I don't have anything to say. I'm sorry. I don't like you. I don't like anybody that watches this video. The one guy that watches this video. To the one guy who watches this video, I don't like you. I do not like you. Stop liking my videos. Okay? You need to start disliking my videos, okay? You don't understand. I really, really don't like you. So, right now it's just recapping. I'm not going to read the recap, because that's kind of shit. Alright, we're just going to start here. I recently made the decision to reclaim my soul, which has turned out to be kind of tricky. So far, my endeavours have led me to summoning a demon in my apartment who attempted to drag me back to hell and violate me. Don't worry, my naked ghost roommate Gary vanquished him, I think. He has a permanent ghost, but remember when I said I wasn't going to read the recap? I lied. Anyway, it turns out the only way to reclaim my soul is to be given it back by the guy who I traded it with. Simple stuff, surely. Not quite. I'd been unable to contact him online because the douche is ignoring all of my messages. I tell you what, you know what I'd do? If this was me, I'd like send him like videos of like, you know, I'd message him saying, I've got all your porn, you know, I've got everything on your computer. Just be like a really rubbish scammer and just say, I know what you've done. Give me my soul back, please. I need it back. That pretty much exhausted all of my options, so I decided it better to just embrace the soulless lifestyle. This guy's a give-upper. That's what, you know what, that give-upper, that's what they call people who give up. A give-upper. Sure, it had its flaws. I now couldn't leave my apartment without witnessing a parade of diseased souls. You just got all these like burnt bodies dancing around, like doing a hula. They got like tiki girls. They look like tiki girls. They're just doing a hula, and they're all burnt and charred. I think that would be really funny. If I saw that, I'd laugh out loud. I'd LOL. I'd ruffle. My hand's shaking, man. I can't handle this creepypasta. My hand's shaking. This creepypasta's so scary, man. And the floorboards inside my apartment, where there had been briefly been a portal to hell, now leaked the tears and howls of the damned. But I guess nothing's perfect. I could grow accustomed to the dead, and I'd already covered my floor with a nice new rug that muffled most of the cries of the condemned. Things were looking up. Where'd they get the rug from? B&Q or something? You don't get rugs from B&Q, by the way. That's a fun fact. Fun fact, you don't get rugs from B&Q. That is, until I made a solid breakthrough in the search for my soul, through my exceptional perception, cunning, and intuition. This guy's a G, you know. He loves himself too much. He's got that perception. He's got 100 perception, 100 cunning, 100 intuition. The newspaper ad, he spelled ad wrong. He gave it 2 D's. I swear to God, man. If you spell anything wrong, I'm gonna kill you. Need new stove? Perhaps fridge freezer? Call now. We'll accept best offer. Now accepting souls. Seemed a bit too on the nose to be a coincidence. I made the call, got an address, and embarked on my journey of soul reclamation. Gary joined me. I sensed this was just another average Tuesday for him. Why does Gary care about him? Why is he just trekking along? For this, I know he's like seen the demon thing, and he like shoved him back in. Like Gary just saw the demon and was just like, "Get back in your hole, go away, get out, get lost. This is me apartment. Get out. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you." Our journey took us to a downtown marketplace. It was early morning, and the place was filled with people setting up stalls of strange meats and fish, novelty decorations, and knockoff clothes. You've just got like Moki Moose. That's not funny. I can think of something funnier. No, I can't. Let's move on. The dead were everywhere. Gary approached one, a weeping woman who stood in the middle of the walkway. She was dripping wet from head to toe. She was dripping wet. Her skin a strange tint of blue, and her arms slashed from wrist to elbow. He stood in front of her, presenting himself. She stopped weeping, looked Gary up and down, then proceeded to continue weeping while walking away. Took one look at Gary. Like, Gary's naked, by the way, if you don't know. Took one look at him and started crying. That is rejection at its peak. Gary looked like he let out an inaudible sigh. I guess even in death, rejection is hard. Undeterred, he walked over to another. I decided to leave him to it. You do you, Gary. Go on, Gary, you can get him. You can get one. Don't worry, Gary. I'll be your wingman, Gary. Don't worry about it. The actual living souls were busy unloading vans. Does he call people living souls? What a recluse. What an emo. And pitching signs. And I wondered where it was that I would begin my search. The call hadn't been very specific on the exact location of this trader of souls, so I guess I'd have to do a bit of legwork. Maybe give a few people the rundown. Maybe play a little good cop bad cop with my spectral sidekick. One thing was for certain, it would be a grueling Dave. And wait. I saw the name Dave, and I said it would be a grueling day. It says it would be a grueling day, but I said it would be a grueling Dave. That's funny. That's really funny. That's a good joke. Can you just like the video because that was a good joke? The one guy who liked that, the one guy who watches this, I take back what I said earlier. Like the video. I want you to like the video because that was a good joke. That was a good one. I can't even remember what it was. Oh, you want Dave? He's right in there. The fish salesman pointed towards a warehouse on the other side of the market. Handed me back the newspaper clipping I'd given him. Alright then. The warehouse in question looked deserted, and the only entrance I could find lay down a dingy... I'm good at reading. The whole place screamed murder. As I approached the alleyway, a hand grasped my wrist and pulled me back. Risp. I just said risp. You want a risp? You want a packet of risps? You don't want to go in there. Wait, no. It's more like, you don't want to go in there. An old, veiled woman informed me. A thick eastern accent. No good in there, child. Only darkness. Her skin had the feel of dry plastic, and was as smooth as sandpaper. Sandpaper. That's my commentary. Just sandpaper. Right, I'm actually looking for a guy who has my soul. I hear his name is Dave. She let go of my arm and began taking steps backwards, looking me up and down as she did so. You are unnatural, tainted, no, evil, unclean. You leave, be gone, get out, leave, go away from me. I don't like you. She began gesturing me away with one hand, another reaching for a talisman around her neck and gripping it tightly. She began hissing, and I got the impression that I wanted. I continued down the alley. That was kind of pointless. What was the point in that? Getting inside proved rather difficult. The door was locked, and as rusted as they were the chains. What? The door was locked, and as rusted as they were, the chains wouldn't budge. I feel like that's a mistake. I don't know. I might just be. I think my brain's just gone. I don't know. There was a small window overhead, which after a great deal of exertion and strain, I managed to climb and squeeze through. Landing hard on the other side, Gary rejoined me and just walked right through it. I wish I could walk through walls. I just walk through wall and to my neighbour's next door. Just take the dog and walk through the wall again. Ahead of me lay a barely lit, stretching hallway. Graffiti stained the walls covered in obscenities, and foul depictions of genitals smeared next to the doorway in what I assumed was red paint were the words, "Abandon all hope, dickweeds." I should say that more, dickweed. Someone's bullying you, you just call them a dickweed. Shut up, you dickweed. Get owned. Dickweed. A cold wind ran through the length of the hall, and the darkness felt heavy. I looked at Gary, who was busy comparing a detailed depiction of a male member with his own phantom limb. Looking defeated, he walked ahead. I'm reading a comedy, man. This is the script to a new comedy movie featuring what's her name? Can't remember her name. Who's the fat woman that were in Ghostbusters 2016? I can't remember her name. I'm gonna look it up. What's her name? I'm looking. What's her name? Ghostbusters 2016. Fat woman. Melissa McCarthy, that's her name. She played Abby Yates. Ghostbusters is a fantasy sci-fi that's 2 hours and 14 minutes long. Let's read the. Alright, let's sidetrack from the creepypasta for a minute and read the IMDb. Let's look at who let's look at the location management. Well done to Mark Fitzgerald. You were the location manager. Can we just give a round of applause to Mark Fitzgerald? He was the location manager for Ghostbusters 2016. I just want to dedicate this video to Mark Fitzgerald. Everybody give a round of applause. Right, anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, let's continue reading this creepypasta. A lifetime must have passed whilst we walked that hall. It felt like hours rolled over into days, but at the same time, it felt like no time had passed at all. The way in which we'd entered had long since disappeared into naught, and yet we reached no end. The hall was ceaseless. My eyes adjusted to the darkness as best as they could, but I stumbled occasionally and fell flat on my face more than once. Gary attempted to catch me at one point, but I fell right through him. I appreciated the thought, though. Why does Gary like this guy? Gary, you're better than him. You can move on to other people. There's plenty of efficiency. You're better than... I don't even know the gender of this character, actually. It might be a woman and Gary's just trying to slide in. After a long while, or maybe just a few minutes, I suggested we should probably turn back, and that no good would have come from walking down that hallway forever. Gary looked as though he was cool either way, so I took the initiative and began to turn back. There's no escape, a voice whispered from the darkness, everywhere and nowhere. It was soft, almost childlike. You cannot escape eternity. Do you like my voice acting? I'm a good voice actor, me. Another voice joined it too a whisper, but distinctly deeper, and croaked. You wander this place until the stars bleed out and all light fades from the heavens. A third voice, this one louder and almost taunting, a slight laugh in the tone. You will feel the grind to blood and dust, and even... More voices pitched in, as though every speck of darkness was reaching out and singing similar horrors into my mind. A chorus of the macabre and morbid. I'm actually just looking for Dave, do you know if he's here, or... The voice burst in... They're making fun of him again. The voices burst into manic giggling and laughter inside my mind, louder than anything I thought possible. My head throbbed with the weight of it all. A few trickles of blood began to drip through my nose. I could taste iron in the back of my throat. Demons, man. Such pricks. Just making fun of this guy. He's got this washing machine. It's not a washing machine. He's got this washer machine. And he's just lost his soul. He's just trying to get his soul back. He wants a refund. And they're all making fun of him. Actually, I've just realised this creepypasta It's not even focused on the dishwasher anymore. Like I don't think. I think if we just took the dishwasher out and replaced it with anything, the story wouldn't have changed. If you just replaced the dishwasher with like a copy of the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, it wouldn't have changed. Imagine that the creepypasta was called "I Sold My Soul for a copy of Ghostbusters 2016 and I would like it back." That has more of a ring to it, I think. I think I should write these creepypastas. I think I'm a better writer. In synchronicity, they spoke, and each word was an explosion inside me skull. Lost little lamb, cry so we can taste the tears, scream so that we may find the bliss in melody, suffer so that we may make you pure, embrace us. From all around, my being hands outstretched. They gripped clothing and skin and hair, dug into bone and hooked into tendons, pulling and pushing and yanking and spilling and tearing and laughing and screaming and ripping, and lights turned on overhead, and I found myself writhing on the floor alone. There were no hands, no voices in my head. We were in a large warehouse floor, surrounded by boxes and crates and trucks. Gary stood beside me, still naked as ever. I wish it was the fact that he was on the floor, like, curled up in a ball. He looks up and Gary's just standing over him. Gary's just standing over him ominously. I think that would be funny. I like that. I think it would have been funny. In the centre of the floor sat a young guy on a fold-out garden chair. He looked no older than 18 and wore dirty overalls and a black beanie. He waved. Hey? I pulled myself to my feet, dusting myself off. That was weird. Yeah, sorry about that. Security system. Cool, right? Had a few too many break-ins lately, he announced, sipping at a thermos. He gestured for me to approach. Are you Dave? I asked, rubbing at my back, which ached fiercely. Yep, that's me. You here for the stove? I got a couple left, good condition too, almost new. The next few minutes were spent with me explaining that I wasn't in fact there to purchase a stove, and was in fact trying to get my soul back. I explained that I traded my soul online. He apologised for not responding to my emails, got me a coffee. It tasted like manual labour. He was an alright guy, really. He was even willing to trade my soul. Wait, this is the guy that sold took his soul. How did he find him? I've got to go back, actually. Let me just go back. How did he find this guy? It was an ad in a newspaper. This guy's running like a business where he just sells a whole bunch of stuff for souls and stuff. Like, he's become a businessman, a legitimate businessman. People are screaming outside. I don't know if you could hear that. People are screaming, people are getting murdered while I'm reading this creepypasta. He was even willing to trade back my soul for the dishwasher, so long as I paid him a small accounting fee. We settled on 50 quid, which I wasn't too pleased with, but figured it was probably the best deal I was going to get. We shook hands, and he went and fetched a water-damaged box filled with junk and began rustling through it. I know I had it somewhere. No, not that. Nope, that's Jimmy's. Where did I... Oh shit, that's right. He closed the box and scratched at his jaw. What's wrong? I asked as he started to pace back and forth. Yeah, a bit of an issue, buddy. I traded a whole bunch of souls yesterday. I think yours was one of them. He went on to explain that he had a... Wait. I'm skipping ahead, hold on. Fleeling, slightly displeased at this revelation, I inquired to whom he had given my soul. It's, right. I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that your soul is now in hell. Yeah, it's like 98% sure. He went on to explain that he had a regular trade deal with some demon. Dave gave him souls, and the demon gifted Dave with rare antiquities. I've never seen that word before. Antiquities. Antiquities. I'm retarded. It was apparently a no-go-back kind of trade, and that getting it back was pretty much a lost cause. I was beginning to think that I'd wasted the entire Tuesday. Dave, however, advised me that not all was lost. You could simply open a gateway and we could go and get the soul. This, of course, came with an opening a doorway to hell fee. But Dave assured me that he did in fact accept credit cards. What's going on with hell? They're just selling souls of people and like, what's going on? I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's annoying me. I don't get it. After the payment cleared, Dave went about drawing all sorts of chalk symbols on the wall to the warehouse floor, each appearing to be from a different language that I imagine nobody has spoken for a very long time. When that was finished, he smeared an odd scarlet liquid across the symbols that he got from a jar, and coupled with this, a brief reading of a scripture. Gary wandered around, and I did a Sudoku. Right, that's that. Now we wait. Dave announced, his hands on his hips. He looked quite pleased with himself, then frowned for a moment and licked his thumb, rubbed a little bit of chalk from the wall, and then returning to looking pleased. It should open any minute now. We waited for 7 hours. Dave filled me in on the whole soul trade business, about how he'd gotten into this from his grandma, and was trying to bring the industry into the 21st century. He'd only been doing it for a couple months, but things were on the up and up. He was even thinking about setting up his own website. So does your friend wear clothes, or is that a stylistic choice? Oh yeah, that's Gary, I'm taken aback. You can see him. Clear as day. Sup? He nodded. Gary nodded back. I got the sight, as my grandma used to say. Spooky stuff. Right, well, I'm not sure I, alone grown, emerged from the wall like the bricks themselves were in pain. I put down the coffee I'd been nursing. Dave jumped to his feet, elated. Yes, finally! Exclamation mark. Small fissures began to appear in the brick, cracking like outstretched veins. From then, a thin fog began to seep outwards. The lights overhead flickered and instantaneously erupted into a shower of sparks and lights. You've done this before.
Okay, it's childish, can't be no homegirl, drop it like the NASDAQ. Move white girls like this coat of my ass crack.
The recording cut out. Whoops. I think the thing I'm using to record the audio, I was recording for too long, so obviously it cut out. Yeah. Whoops. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. This video is gonna be an hour long. Oh yeah, let's just continue. Oh yeah, tons of times Dave had to shout at this point just to be heard over the ceaseless din of the opening gateway. Well, maybe not success, the world as I knew. It exploded. The wall erupted outwards, sending chunks of brick and concrete flying. Dave flew with it, dust and rubble and blood spraying from where he had been standing. There had once been a wall, a gaping hole into nothingness now stood. A swirling vortex of foreboding darkness. The air all around began to move towards it, like water down a plug hole. Back when I was a kid, I used to think that when I was in bath, you took the plug out. I used to think that it was if I was in the bath, I'd get sucked down the plug hole and killed. Yeah, that was my childhood. And that was me as a kid. The ground beneath my feet was gone before I knew what was happening, and I found myself falling through the air towards the vortex's gaping maw. I was pulled ever inward, swirling and screaming and howling into the madness of it all, and then I wasn't. I was on the floor in the warehouse where I'd only been moments ago. For the second time, I stood up and brushed myself off, and coughed up what 9 out of 10 doctors would call a concerning amount of blood. Who's the one guy that said that it wouldn't be a concerning amount of blood? Find that guy. Find him. Disorientated, I reached for my coffee and took a sip, which I immediately spat across the ground. It tasted like shit, like actual feces. I threw the cup on the ground and looked around. Yeah, wait, he drank shit. Haha, he drank shit. What a loser. Yeah, I was still in the warehouse, but everything seems slightly off. The walls that had once been slightly dirty were now laid in a thick coat of rust. What are the walls made out of? I was thinking that they were made out of brick, but obviously, if they're rusty, I don't know. Can bricks get rusty? I don't know. I'm kinda not smart. The air was heavy and dense and ground. That's what it says. I've lost where I am again. I've actually lost where I am. Where was I? Where's the and? Oh wait, there it is. And dense. Ground was covered. The ground was covered in the fog that had seeped through the walls earlier. The gateway was gone, and the wall that stood where it had been was coated in all manner of filth. I could barely see my breath escape my lips, and my whole body was shivered and cold. Shadows now darted around the peripheral of my vision, and the groan I heard earlier was now a steady hum in the distance. Ever so faintly in the distance, I could hear screaming. Gary stood beside me still. I swallowed hard. The only comfort I could find in the moment was that Gary looked as disinterested as ever. He began to walk forward, and I followed. I descended into hell, guided by my own fully erect Virgil. Okay, that's the end. It just ends there. I think there's a part 3. I don't know if I'm going to read that. Yeah. That was epic. I shouldn't do that actually, that's probably going to break my phone or computer. But yeah, that was a creepypasta. That was part 2. Remember when I said I wasn't going to read it? I read it. That one guy who watched this video, remember when I said that? Yeah. I don't know how to end a video. What do? Just say subscribe, guys. Because like I can't just say subscribe, guys, because I know for a fact that I'm talking to one guy. Like, it's just depressing. I should delete my channel. I should delete both my YouTube channels. Wait, no, I don't have 2 YouTube channels. The other one's Joe's, innit? Whoops. I'm sorry, Joe. Okay, so just like with the last one, I feel like this video was a little less funny as well. I might scrap this video, bye.
I love you, I do need you, I do, I love you, I do need you.